I just finished a bunch of work in the homestead, and now I am just finishing up one more thing. But I really wanted to talk to you a little bit about how there are just so many pros and cons to starting your own homestead. And if you're thinking about starting your own homestead, then you're really gonna want to know what they are. So I'm gonna go ahead, finish up what I'm doing, head inside for a cup of tea, and we're gonna talk through all of them. Cheers, I'm back inside. I have my warm cup of tea. Whew, it is so cold outside. I am so glad that those chores around the homestead are done. If you don't already know me, my name is Danielle of the Slower Homestead. I share new content every week around what it's like to live a more self-sustainable lifestyle and start your own homestead. But today we're going to break down all of the pros and the cons of homesteading so that you know everything that you need to before you start homesteading. And if you are already homesteading, then I'd love to definitely hear in the comments down below what your pros and cons are and if they align with some of mine. We've been homesteading for the past couple of years, and we definitely have started simple and are growing our homestead every year. And that's something that I love about homesteading is you can keep growing and iterating onto it as much as you want. But today we're breaking down the 7 pros of homesteading, why we truly love to homestead. And the first one is that it really is something that you can start anywhere. I've talked about this before, but whether you are living in an apartment that has only large windows, whether you are living on 100 acres, you can truly start homesteading where you are today, regardless of the season, regardless of the time of year, regardless of where you're living. You can start. And you can do this by starting your own herb garden, learning how to do tactical skills like sewing, mending your own clothes, fixing your car, or being more mechanical. Or you could even start with getting animals, getting chickens, raising them, getting quail, rabbits, cows, goats. You can really make it as little or as big as you want. And that's what I really love about homesteading. And I think there's so much content out there that it can often be off-putting because it seems like such a big task to start a homestead. But if you do start smaller and you start with 1 or 2 animals or a garden or an herb garden or anything, you start small and then you build it up over time, it's going to be easier on you and you're going to actually start to learn and grow as you're doing it, and everything within your homestead will learn and grow with you. As you learn and grow, you're going to get so much knowledge and education. And this is number 2 for a positive with starting a homestead. Before we had started homesteading, I really didn't know that much about gardening or raising my own animals. I definitely had started off with sewing and crocheting and knitting as a kid. So I did have some of those skills for making and mending my own clothes. I definitely think that today's age and a lot of the generations that are younger and growing up do not have those skills. So I'm really excited for when we do have kids, we can start showing them some of those life skills that are really important. Although it's important to know about social media and marketing or finance or whatever it is that they want to grow up to be, it's really important to know how to make and provide your own items, from clothing to food to growing your own food. I think it's all really important. And as you start to peel back all the layers of homesteading, you're definitely gonna learn so much. And it's so much for not only you, but for your kids and your partners and anyone else that is able to join in on this journey. And hopefully, as you start to homestead, you spread the word and you find that friends and neighbors want to do some of it as well. I know that's definitely happened for us. We raise our own chickens and sell the eggs to our neighbors. And now a lot of our neighbors really want to start raising their own chickens and having their own eggs. Now, that means that we won't be able to sell eggs to them, but it means that they're going to be able to start their own self-sustainable journey. And there is nothing more in my life that I would love more than for others to start on the same journey as us. And it's really true that anyone can start. As I said, you can start anywhere, but you can start whoever you are. And that is what is so amazing about homesteading. Number 3 is going to be that you actually are going to have more appreciation for your food and vegetables that you're eating. When you actually are able to start an herb garden or start a whole field of veggies on your own from itsy bitsy teeny tiny seeds and watch them grow into gigantic cabbages or abundance amount of cucumbers and squash and zucchini or pumpkins or whatever you end up growing, as you watch it go from seed to these enormous fruits and you care for it every single day. Same with some of the animals that you have. We raise a lot of our rabbits for meat as well as our quails, and it really teaches you and your family, your kids, to be way more appreciative to what they're eating. I actually read this book the other day and someone talked about how you can learn a lot from the way that someone eats a chicken wing. And it seems really weird, but I think it rings true to homesteading as well. Now, you can really see that when someone eats the chicken wing and they just kind of take a bite and then throw out the wing, that they're not that appreciative to the food that's on their plates. But when someone takes the chicken wing and they clean that bone, you know that they're appreciating where the animal has come from, what they've sacrificed to be there, and that we're taking on all of the energy from them as a gift that their animal has sacrificed for us. And I think that is truly amazing aspect of homesteading. But not only are we gonna learn about how to appreciate our animals, but you're gonna eat amazing, delicious, and organic foods that you've grown. With today's age of food, I don't know how many food documentaries that you have watched, but I have watched a lot of them. You start to realize where your food is coming from, how the animals that you're eating were treated before they were turned into the meats, as well as some of the cleanliness of these facilities. And although they might be approved to be eaten, I don't know, some of the stuff that's going into that meat that you're eating, or the things that are cleaning the vegetables before you're eating them, the amount of pesticides and antibiotics that are getting pumped into this food. And I don't want to get too graphic here, but it is truly insane. And I think that we're trying to make a world where we can grow an abundant amount of food for all of the population without really putting that task on each individual. And it's gonna hurt the individuals consuming that food. Time and time again, if you're eating this antibiotics and pesticides that are going into anything, I have to assume that there's going to be something that is going to affect your body, your family's bodies, your kids' bodies, and generations after that. So whatever you can do to grow your food in a more organic manner in your backyard, clean it, know what's happening to it, and raise animals that are able to live in a less stressful life. So there's less cortisone that's actually being pumped into your bodies as well from these animals and the stressful situations that they have. I have to assume that it's going to make a big difference. And you're also going to get really delicious food, and know the source. Know that it's a lot cleaner than when you're getting it from different places. And even if you aren't able to grow all of your own food, we do not have cows or pigs or goats here at our homestead, but this is something that you could buy from local homesteads or farms in the area, and even trade some of the options that you have. So I think the more that you can put in your backyard, your homestead is going to be the best solution. But also looking around locally and getting something like that is not only going to help the environment, but it's also going to long-term help your health and your family's health. Along with this, by homesteading, you're going to create a lot less waste. Because we aren't purchasing as much from the grocery store, we're not consuming as much of that plastic and packaging as we otherwise would have by going to the grocery store. By filling all of our plastic bags up with products wrapped in plastic, instead we're able to just get our seeds, plant them, and eat all of the vegetables fresh from our garden. We're able to clean that food from our water that we know is a lot cleaner, and we're able to have those fruits and veggies be preserved a lot longer because they're coming straight from our garden. They're nice, fresh, and they don't have some of those gross things on it. And even when we don't use all of our food, because there's going to be bits and ends that you don't always end up eating, you can do so much more. And with homesteading, you're going to learn that there's a lot of ways to use some of your garbage, whether that be composting, giving some of your scraps to your animals. Chickens will literally eat anything. The same with pigs and some other animals. They love to chomp on bits and pieces left over from your meals. And then if they don't like that, you can always compost, but you're getting rid of a lot more waste, and you're not bringing it into the trash fills, but instead you're putting it into your animals' bellies or into the compost that's going into your garden and creating nice, fresh soil for the future. And with that, you're also saving money. As I said earlier, you're able to grow an abundant amount of food from a small packet of seeds. And think maybe a packet of seeds is $2.50 to $5. Maybe it's a really niche veggie that you're growing, so it's a little more expensive, but still there's a large amount of seeds. And you can even start to harvest your own seeds and seed save at the end of season to reduce some of those overhead costs. And it's able to offset the prices of going to the grocery store and getting your own fruits, veggies, and meats, especially with the craziness that's going on in this world today. I know we raise our own chickens where we get our own eggs from, and we're able to get them at the cost of just our feed because we already have everything set up for our chickens. It's running in a fine oiled machine, so we don't have to worry too much about that. But instead of paying, I think it's like $8 a dozen for eggs right now, which is just mind-blowing. It's crazy. It was never that expensive. But to know that every single time that I eat eggs, and we eat a large amount of eggs in this house, that we're able to save a lot of money on purchasing those. And we have fresh organic eggs from free-range chickens that are packed with vitamins and minerals, unlike any of those caged chickens where you might be getting eggs from instead. Number 7 is you're going to start living a simpler life. When you actually slow down your life and you're able to grow your own food, you're able to step back and cook and preserve your own food, you're able to mend your own clothes, fix your own machinery, and you have all these life skills where you don't need to really go out to places and get them. You're able to pump the brakes and live a more relaxing lifestyle. Gone are the days where you're on Instagram trying to live up to everyone's lives, because you understand that there comes true peace in simplicity. And I think that homesteading is not just something that you do day to day. It's not just raising animals or having a garden, but it's truly a lifestyle. And as you get into the groove, your mindset and the way that you feel on a day-to-day basis is going to change. You're gonna live a completely different life. You're gonna look at things a lot different than you used to, and truly you're gonna change and adapt and evolve just as your fruits and vegetables are evolving in a garden, because it really takes you back to simpler times. And that's probably one of my favorite aspects of homesteading, is it just brings on a happier, simpler life with small, grateful items. Being able to watch things grow in your garden, create beautiful, abundant fields of foods and flowers and herbs. There's nothing like it in the rest of the world that I've ever done, and I hope that you're able to experience the same. Although with the good does come the bad. And there's a lot of things about homesteading that are truly unfavorable and probably make homesteading quite awful at times. Hopefully you're able to live above some of these, but I do want to break down some of the cons of homesteading so you truly know what you're getting into before you start doing it. And the first one is that it is physically and mentally challenging. Physically and mentally challenging. You're gonna walk into situations and you're gonna walk in with this like positive, amazing feeling. When you first get your first larger plot of land, you're able to have your own garden, you're able to get your own animals, and you're gonna get hit with so many challenges. They're going to challenge you both mentally and physically because you're gonna be having to lift really heavy things, lifting large amounts of feed. You're going to have to clean disgusting animal cages. It's not fun. And you're going to need to be bringing around large amounts of soil and mulch, and it's going to be very rigorous on your body. But I think that with all challenges, you learn something. So although you're going to be put on end at some times, and I know that especially because everybody's house and land are so different, so there's going to be so many factors to maybe why you're successful or unsuccessful about things, and you just cannot break it or understand it. But as you start to solve these challenges, you're going to learn so much. And the person that you were when you started to the person that you are now, to the person that you are in a couple months, is going to exponentially change, and you're going to grow so much as a person and hopefully change for the better, because I know that our family has really changed in so many ways. We've become less wasteful. We've really accepted everything that we have, and we're so grateful, and we have so much gratitude for the world and the things that we have, and we've definitely grown and changed, and we continue to grow and change as new obstacles come our way. But if you're not ready for a physical and mental challenge, then honestly, just stop the video right now, go look up something else. Don't start homesteading because it's very challenging, and there's not always a support group of people around you. Some of this stuff can be very siloed and very lonely, and you just need to make sure that you're up for the challenge and that you're going to turn in every single day, whether you have a day job or you work nights or you're doing something on the side to gain some additional income. And this, you're going to realize that it's really hard, and you're going to be ready for it, but it is going to be really hard. Something else that no one told us is that homesteading is very costly. I think that was definitely something that we didn't think about at all. We kind of just assumed that living off the land and being more self-sustainable was going to be something that was going to be honestly very cheap and affordable, but it's a lot of money when you get started. When you first get some of your animals, you need to purchase some items to help raise them or keep them in an environment that is good for them. You're going to have to actually purchase the animals. You're going to then have to put in gating or fencing or cages around them. You're also going to need to feed and water and come up with a watering system for them. If you're going to get a garden, you need to get in dirt. If you're going in the ground, you need time to help mend that dirt, make sure that it's good, growable dirt. And you're going to need to get all the items to actually start your garden and all the tools that you're going to need to get started. And then as you start doing it, you're going to start seeing different things like, ooh, I really want a greenhouse. I want to get one of those. And you're going to start to see that a lot of things are not cheap. They're pretty expensive and time consuming. And it's definitely something that you need to be prepared for, that you have some money set aside that you can actually start using to do this for yourself. Now, dependent where you're living, and for us in the Northeast, this is definitely an unconventional and unique lifestyle. I don't think any of our friends grow any of their food, some garden, but that's really about it. And nobody has chickens, nobody has animals, nobody's doing anything like that. And when you end up going to outings or parties or dinners with your friends, can feel kind of ostracizing when they talk about you, when they're disgusted by things that you do, because some of it can be quite off-putting to harvest your own food and be able to stock your own freezer. And although it seems wild that some people would disagree with these things, it's definitely frowned upon in different areas. Now, I have some friends that live in the South and they think about it completely different. Hunting is something that's a lot of people do. When it comes to those hunting seasons, they're able to stock their own freezers and it's just a part of their life, but it's definitely not in all areas of the world. And it's something that you're going to have to get used to, that you might be a little bit different when you first get started. And that was definitely something that's been hard for us coming from New York City, where we were living at the time, and then going into a more rural area and starting our homestead. We definitely have a lot different friends and people that we hang out with now. We have a lot different conversations that we get into, and we are interested in so many different things than we were when we were living in a city and living in that city lifestyle. And I think that's going to be a big juxtaposition as you start to really get settled into this lifestyle. The last con of homesteading is that it truly does take a significant amount of time. And if you do have a job and you need to continue to do your job, which we do, we both have full-time jobs, then it's sometimes hard to squeeze in homesteading, especially in the winter when we have really short days and there's not that much sunlight. You end up spending a lot of your weekends and mornings doing activities on the homestead so that you can still do your jobs and be able to have a good night's rest as well as be social. So think about the fact that whatever you're doing today, if you start homesteading, it is going to add some time to your day. This is not just a hobby that you can do in your free time. If you have plants that you're growing or animals that you're growing and feeding, you need to attend to them on pretty much a daily basis, if not more times a day. In the winter, our watering systems will freeze for our rabbits and we need to bring fresh water throughout the day for them. And in the summer, it can get quite hot for a lot of our animals and we need to be able to cool them down and provide an area that's nice and cool for them. As well as watering our plants, making sure that they're able to grow in an environment that's going to help them flourish. And although we can get the most amount of automations as we can, and we have automated feeders and waterers, and we're adding a lot more automations to our garden, there's still going to be a lot of time and work that you will need to put into this. Now, if you're excited to add these activities into your lifestyle, then it's going to be an amazing time for you. And homesteading is truly amazing. There's no part that I regret when starting our homestead, and every day it's amazing to be able to know that we're able to grow our own food and live more self-sustainably. We want to keep learning more about being more self-sustainable, doing more things on our homestead, and I hope this was helpful in your journey and realizing that this is a truly amazing journey, and hopefully the cons are something that you can live with.